Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, if you're listening live. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever or whenever you're listening to this show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, welcoming you to episode 210 of the Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. Folks, a very special show tonight coming to you from the new Patrick Come Lately studio in Cumming, Georgia. Yes, we finally moved into our new residence, and I have my studio here. Can't really call it a studio. If the sound tonight, the audio is not quite the same quality as during my previous shows coming from the hotel. One of the things is my microphone is not surrounded by four big fluffy cushions to absorb some of the echoes, so if there's a bit of an echo, sounds like I'm in a hall, I apologize. The studio is not ready. It's just pretty much an empty room with a bunch of boxes in it right now, but hopefully a good internet connection. We actually moved a lot of our stuff in yesterday. Today we received our internet connection, very important thing nowadays, of course. And tomorrow we hope to move in the remainder of our all our stuff. Didn't realize we had so much, and anybody in the North Atlanta area, I think we're going to be having a garage sale soon, because even though we thought we'd sold and got rid of a lot in Florida, we still find we've probably got too much up here. But it's nice to be home again. Living in the RV was fun. And, of course, I know my good friend Rex Reapy does that full time. And hats off to him for that. 4 months was quite fun, and it's amazing how little you can get by with. But at the end of the line, we do need to spread out and get our things back. I think to live permanently in an RV, not impossible, but I much prefer living in a house. So we're here, and lots going on. I've been very busy, so apologies to all my regular listeners that I didn't send my usual email, Facebook, Google Plus, or Twitter reminders. Just been very hectic, as you might imagine. I'll hopefully get back to them next week. But in the meanwhile, if you are not listening live, and I'm sure there won't, because there were no reminders, there may not be that many people live, but hopefully some of the auto-generated reminders that go out will bring people to the recordings, and hopefully you'll listen to the show. There's lots of interesting stuff been going on. And I promise no April Fool joke for you today. One of the traditions that we have on the other side of the pond is that April Fool's jokes only take place up to noon. And as it's pretty much nowhere noon on April the 1st, or before noon on April the 1st, anywhere on the globe right now, I can't get away with that joke. And of course, also a lot of my listeners will be listening to the recordings, and it'll be after April 1st. So I'm not going to subject you to that. Other than, obviously, we do have to talk about one April Fool's joke, and that is, of course, the end of the open enrollment for ObamaCurse, and then the some of the things that went on after that. So we'll be doing. We'll have a look at that, and maybe now is a good time to do that. So off we go. Yes, time to talk about ObamaCurse. As I said, open enrollment ended yesterday, and of course today they came out and they had just made 7 million enrollees, or people who had signed up. Now, before I get into what that number's made up of, how much faith do you have in this government that that it really is just over the 7 million? Do you really believe them? Do you think that of those 7 million that most of the people have already paid for their insurance? Do you think that a lot of young people have signed up, more than they wanted to have? I think about 40%. So you really think 40% of the people who have signed up are people in the young demographic that they need to make this thing work? Yeah, well, there you are, folks. So let's start, first of all, with the 7 million. The number that I heard this morning, between a lot of those moving tasks, did manage to get a little bit of information off the radio and off Fox News Channel, and they were saying that it was 7,041,000 had signed up. Now, isn't it coincidental that they actually made the 7 million? Just let's go back to, what was it, 4 months ago, when the enrollment opened up, and Catherine Sebelius kind of threw that 7 million number out, and immediately the White House and all their lackey press people started backpedaling on that 7 million. Oh, that was just a guess, and nothing really special about it. We don't really think 7 million. So they were really trying to distance themselves from that 7 million. And yet, coincidentally now, they're trumpeting, yes, we made 7 million. Isn't it just awful? Again, here we come with this stupid left-wing hypocrisy, because first of all, it's not important. Now it's super important. And not only is it super important, but they fudged the numbers to get to it. And somebody's going to say, Stefan, how can you say that? You haven't got any proof. No, and I'll agree with you, especially I haven't been able to do any research. Nobody really knows. But I'm just saying, as a commentator and not as a reporter now, I think they fudged the numbers just to get to that 7 million. And interestingly, of course, His Highness, the Liar-in-Chief, had his little spike the football in the Rose Garden this afternoon, and he couldn't help but continue to lie, because what I heard was he said, okay, we managed to make 7.1 million today. Everybody cheering and all the invited people there. I'm sure they were walking around with placards, cheer, clap, etc. So everybody applauding and happy, 7.1 million. Well, give me a break, folks. Dear leader, you are nothing but a psychological liar. Or you don't know math. Well, you're pretty dumb anyway, so maybe that's it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that. 7.1 million, 7,041,000. Now, if you remember your math from school, dear leader, when you round, if it's 5 or higher, you can round up. If it's 4, 9 or lower, you have to round down. So 7,041,000 actually rounds down to 7.0 million if you want to go that way. It doesn't round up to 7.1 million. Or did you just add in a few more there to take it over the 50,000 there? And that would, if it was 52,000, then yes, you could say that it was 7.1 million. But, if you're saying 7,041,000, then you say 7.1, just another lie out of the mouth of the liar-in-chief. So anyway, so that was the first one. And I don't even believe the 7 million either. Are they people who've paid? These are people they said signed up. How many duplicates, etc. If we look at the unemployment figures, a month later they come out with revisions, and of course they're revised upward in terms of the unemployment percentage, often 2 or 3 tenths of a point. So they're getting the numbers wrong. They rush them out. They rush them in the most optimistic way, and then when then they go back and do the recalculation and find out what it really was. So, folks, I don't believe the 7 million. That's just they said, okay, we said 7 million. Now we're going to make sure we make it, and somehow they fudged the numbers. I don't think they're there. Next question was, how many of those people have actually paid for their insurance? They can't tell us that. So out of the 7.1 million, right now, there have been some very rough numbers talking about 80%. So now we take 80% of 7 million. We're talking about 560. We're talking about or 5.6 million. We're talking less than 6 million now that are actually have paid for it. Of course, even if you've paid for it, that doesn't really matter, because we saw somebody in California had a lot of bills. He had a heart attack and he went into the hospital, and even though he can show evidence that he was paid and was supposed to be covered, they're still charging him, and it's kind of in a no man's land, and the insurance company says, we know nothing about it, and the exchange says, well, we told them, and everybody's pointing fingers, but nothing's really going on. So very strange that, so even if you have paid, you probably don't get insurance. So let's take another 10% off of that, all those people who don't get insurance, even though they've paid. So we're down to about maybe just over 5 million people who are actually insured. Now, one of the reasons they wanted the 7 million to be reached is they have to be a decent bit above the 6 to 6.5 million that lost their insurance. So 7 million means they are sort of, kind of. But again, if you take the 80% number as a thing, then they're not. But at least, they're spinning, they're lying, who cares, what they do. But why is that number important? Well, if 6 million lost and 7 million gained, that means we've got 1 million more people insured because of ObamaCurse. Whoa! Well, can any of you remember, and excuse me, folks, because this really does make me so annoyed. Can you remember how we were told we have to have ObamaCurse when they forced it upon us over 4 years ago, because we got these 30 million people who don't have insurance, and by signing this bill and by passing this bill, it means these 30 million people can come out of the shadows and they can have insurance. And so now, even if we believe they're fudged, made-up numbers, there's only 1 million more people insured after all the fuss, the bother, the expenses, the everything that's bad, all the disruption to insurance companies, all the disruption to our healthcare system, and 1 million more people insured. Do you really think that's going to cut it? No, folks, that's not going to cut it. And the Democrats keep saying, well, we'll get a few more, and then it'll be too many people on it to repeal it. No, folks, now is the time to repeal it. But Republicans, make sure you have a good alternative, and let's show that to the people and show them that we do have a good alternative, and that we have an affordable, because that's the other thing, the Affordable Care Act. What a misnomer. I think in Washington you have to look at the name of the act and then basically go in the opposite direction to know what it really is. And in this case, it is definitely the Unaffordable Care Act. And we know I think with a lot of certainty that premiums are going to be going up a lot next year. I've seen some things now where people at the high end are saying that it could go up to 2 or 3 times what it is now, and a lot of the premiums that people were getting were much, much higher. Let me give an example of my son. He had to go into one of the Obamacare policies because his was cancelled as well when he was told that it would be stopping when renewal time came up. So he went on to the exchange, he went to look and found out that he'd be paying a whole lot more. But here's the kicker. He was going to be paying, I think, $300 or $400 a month more for essentially the same insurance. I think did have higher deductibles, but 1 or 2 other areas were actually not so bad. So he said it wasn't too bad, apart from the fact it was $400 more expensive. But based on his income, he was able to get some subsidy from the government. And strangely enough, he was able to get about $400 subsidy from the government. In other words, and he's conservative like me, thank goodness, but, he's got to have health insurance. And so he doesn't like sucking on the teat of the government. And he sort of said, what sense does this make? He said, I pay more, but I get the subsidy. All it does is make me dependent on the government. And folks, that's what it's all about. It's not about improving healthcare. It's about making folks dependent on the government and, of course, the income redistribution. Because it's another way to tax you. Because if you earn a lot of money, if you've got a good income, then you won't get the subsidy. And that subsidy can go to other people who don't earn as much. And folks, I'm going to come back to this topic hopefully later in the show, if not next week, because this is really, things have gone so far, it's absolutely disgusting. Anyway, so that's where we stood today. We'll, like I said, the left were crowing, and you hear some of the sound bites on some of the radio shows and the left. Oh, we made the 7 million. Oh, we made the 7 million. The government's so good. They made the 7 million. Obamacare is great. Somebody had a poll and said more than half of the people said Obamacare is great. Yeah, right. As if you could believe that. Anyway, okay, folks. I'm going to continue on ObamaCurse, unfortunately. Some bad news. A couple of minutes up to the break, and maybe we'll continue after the break. And I'll tell you why bad news. And this is, in a way, this is just something totally separate. But it's nice to know that as we go into this kind of post-open enrollment, some of the other things that have been going on around Obamacare and people looking into and finding out what this thing really does. So here we go, folks. Quick interlude, and then we'll go to the next topic. And the next topic is, if I can bring it up, and I have to say, being at home as well, no printers. So I'm working with my wife's iPad tonight. Very modern. Paperless, but it is a bit of a pain. Anyway, this actually comes from the Washington Free Beacon. And this article there talks about a report that was put out about the true cost of Obamacare. And they said on the 4th anniversary of Obamacare, because it is about 4 years since it was signed, and this report was actually put out about just a little bit over a week ago, and that was the official 4th birthday of Obamacare. But now that the open enrollment is closed, I think this is a good one. And basically, the report, which was put out by the American Action Forum, that says basically the law's regulatory burdens are twice as great as its benefits. It's adding billions in economic costs and millions of paperwork hours. Imagine that, billions in economic costs and millions of paperwork hours, and those costs are twice as great as its benefits. Well, isn't that exactly what we said was going to happen? But nobody listened. Everybody voted again for His Highness, dear leader. How could we ever be so stupid? Okay, folks. It is time for the break, so I want to go into this report in a bit more detail, but stick with me, and after these messages, then we'll go in and see where these costs exactly come from. And boy, you are going to have your blood boiling yet again. I'm sorry, I've always tried to be very positive with a lot of things, but this is going to be blood boiling time yet again.
Are you paying too much for your car insurance policy? Have you shopped your current plan in the last year? If you haven't, then you probably are paying too much. You could save up to 40% on your current car insurance coverage just by making a free call right now. Doesn't it make good sense to pay less for something you have to pay for anyway? And car insurance is one of those things. You got to have car insurance, whether you have one car or 10 cars. So why not see if you can pay a lot less for it right now? One quick 3-minute call, and you could save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. We'll compare the leading car insurance companies and get you coverage that could save you up to 40% on your car insurance. Call now for a free quote. Call 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. That's 800-603-9980.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom112.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom112.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom112.com. Go to freedom112.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom112.com.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thank you for sticking with me through that break. We were talking about ObamaCurse and the report by the American Action Forum. And so let me tell you now what some of that report says. After 4 years of implementation, countless delays, a website disaster, and constant litigation, the Unaffordable Care Act, I'm sorry, it's not what they wrote, but I can't call it anything else, celebrates its inauspicious birthday this week. From a regulatory perspective, the law has imposed more than $27.2 billion in total private sector costs. Folks, $27.2 billion in just this short frame of time. $8 billion in unfunded state burdens, so the poor states are having to cover that, and that's only going to go up as you know, after a year or two, because they promised all sorts of money for Medicaid, but that was only going to last couple of years, and then that stopped. And more than 159 million paperwork hours on local governments and affected entities. 159 million paperwork hours. Well, even if we had, if we outsourced it all and sent it to India, I mean, you're still paying $5 to $10 an hour to do paperwork. So what are we talking about there? We're talking about at least also another $1.5 to $3 billion just on the costs on the paperwork for people to fill it out. And if it, you know, and that was outsourcing it to India. If you take more reasonable US type wages, then it's much, much higher. Can you believe that, folks? I mean, this is just absolutely unbelievable. Now, what American Action Forum also did, they said, well, let's have a look, because there are some benefits from ObamaCurse. But let's have a look. So they did a calculation, and haven't been able to back this up, but basically they're saying that the law generated about $2.6 billion in annualized benefits. $2.6 billion, that sounds good. That's a nice big number. Would be if the annualized costs weren't $6.8 billion, right? So you're talking about at least twice as much in costs compared to benefits. Well, we were told we have to have this, and the benefits far outweighed the costs. Folks, it's the other way round. The left has lied to us again. Whoa, what a surprise. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. Now, the American Action Forum said, apart from reduced employment, insurance cancellations, and implementation problems across all 50 states, here are some of the examples of why ObamaCurse is costly to the economy. Let's take, as an example, a rule requiring restaurants to post nutrition information on their menus. The costs of that have been worked out to be $757 million and require 622 hours in paperwork. And is that paperwork to put it actually on the menus? No, because they've probably got to fill out forms to let the government know that they've done this and get their blessing. I mean, that's just 622,000 hours in paperwork. So, as I said, the AAF says that 159 million paperwork hours that they've calculated by adding up all these different things that the hoops that companies and local authorities and local and state authorities need to jump through to do all the reporting. They calculated this is twice the amount for Dodd-Frank financial reform, which imposed 60 million hours of paperwork. And that in itself also was a huge misstep in terms of just imposing all sorts of unbelievable paperwork on companies. So they say, here's one way to put it in perspective. If you assume that a person works about 2,000 hours annually, that's a reasonable number if you take into account vacations, etc. That's a number we use in our business as well. So say around about 2,000 hours annually. You would need almost 80,000 employees, which is more than the population of Napa, California, they say, but more than 80,000 employees working full-time annually to complete all the paperwork that's required by the Unaffordable Care Act. 80,000 people doing nothing but filling out that paperwork. Now, just a week ago, Princess Pelosi held a scarcely attended anniversary event for the law, where she said Obamacare would prove to be a winner for Democrats in November. It's now 10 days later, and it seems that Princess has decided that maybe Obamacare is not the best thing to run on. And I heard some stories that even she is distancing herself from Obamacare and saying they should run on other things. So even she is, as spaced out as she is beginning to realize that they have bet on the wrong horse. Folks, get the message out there. This is going to be a rout for the Democrats. And I'm really hoping that we can finally show them that we are fed up with everything that they're doing. ObamaCurse is just a tip of the iceberg, and there have been so many other things I've that I've mentioned on the show, that other commentators mentioned, that many of my Red State Talk Radio fellow hosts mentioned. Folks, get the message out there. We have to give them such a strong message in this November 14th message, and then in November 14, and then in November 16 as well. We have to send them the strongest possible message and say, hey, folks, you really need to know that we do not like Obamacare. We do not like Benghazi. We do not like wiretapping. We do not like this. We do not like that. And make sure that the Republicans don't come in and do the same again. Okay, folks, it's time for my next commercial break. Can see my voice is getting a little hoarse as well, so let's take a quick break, and I'll be back after
Limited
these
time offer,
messages.
24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-865-5017. That's 1-800-865-5017. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-865-5017 for details.
Why spend more than you have to on your life insurance? Did you know that term life insurance rates have fallen over 60% in the last 15 years? At the Life Insurance Quote Line, we monitor the rates, features, and financial strength of hundreds of life insurance products. For example, a healthy 40-year-old can protect his family with $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $20 a month. Rates for women are even lower. And don't forget to ask us about the new term life policies that guarantee your money back even if you don't die. Since 1986, we've helped tens of thousands of people just like you save a fortune on their life insurance. Why not find out how much you can save? Write down this number and call today for your free quote. 1 5-minute call is all it takes. Call 800-915-9734. 800-915-9734. That's 800-915-9734. Rates, policy forms, and availability vary by state.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thank you for sticking with me through that second break. We're into the second half of the show, and I just want to give you a quick reminder again of who I am.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
And of course, like I said, I didn't send out my reminders, so I expect there are not that many live listeners. I don't see anybody in the chat room, and I do have the window open. So if anyone is out there, please do say hi. But if you're not listening live, you're listening to the recordings, I appreciate you listening just as much. However, if you can't, if you're not listening live, you can't react in the chat room. So therefore, if you do want to contact me, you've got questions or comments about what... Here's some advice on how you can contact me. If you would like to comment on any of the topics discussed on the show, please email me via stephan@patriotcomelately.us. or go to the show's website, www.patriotcomelately.us, and click on the contact button. You can also write your comments on the show's Facebook page. Just search in Facebook for the Patriot Come Lately Show. Yes, and it's that sound. It means I'm going to change topic again. And if you thought ObamaCurse was bad enough, like I said, here's another message that you can take to the folks and say when November of this year comes up, think hard before you decide to vote for a Democrat, because it turns out that they've been doing some research into ICE, DHS, in other words, immigration, right? ICE is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They're the folks who are supposed to arrest and deport aliens. And basically, Obama has he said, well, you know, we can't deport everybody. We can't prosecute everybody that we catch. So we have to set priorities. And basically, Obama has issued a de facto amnesty. Let's face it. And what has been discovered? This was something that Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama was mentioning. It seems that almost anyone in the world who can enter the U.S. is free to illegally live, work, and claim benefits here as long as they are not caught committing a felony or other serious crime. Well, since this report came out, and this one is actually from the Daily Caller, if I remember, 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I did want to bring it up because I think it's so important, this de facto amnesty. Right? Basically, anybody, if you haven't committed a felony or other serious crime or been caught, because what happens if you've murdered, raped, pillaged in Mexico? That doesn't count. It's only what you get caught here. And Sessions looked at that, and he had a 3-page thing saying DHS enforcement data reveals administrative amnesty is much broader than previously understood. Yeah, because they were telling us, well, it's only children who were here when they were 18, and they can be up to 30, and then we'll, you know, if they've been good, we'll let them stay. Well, no. Basically, ICE's enforcement statistics revealed that DHS has blocked the enforcement of immigration law for the overwhelming majority of violations and is planning to widen the amnesty even further. In other words, here we go again, executive order, bypassing Congress. Yep, dear leader is doing it again, and like I said, more to make your blood boil. It says that less than 0.2% of the approximately 12 million illegal immigrants and visa overstays who were not convicted of a serious criminal offense were placed in removal proceedings. So that's 0.2% that were actually placed in removal. Anyway, and another group has made a calculation that probably 30 to 40,000 serious crimes occur per year because serious criminals are just let out. They are not deported. 30 to 40,000 murders, rapes, drunk driving, fatal accidents. Folks, this government is out of control. They are, can you imagine? 30 to 40,000 serious crimes a year, many of them fatal. That's probably more people than were killed on 9/11. Remember the outrage on 9/11? And yet this is going on every year, and this government is just allowing it to happen, and we're letting this government stay in power. Folks, we have to vote them out in November. I just wish there were other ways we could do that. You know, unfortunately, I have this very regular voting cycle here in America because one of the good things about the British way of doing things, that there, if the government loses loses any key votes, then they actually will call an election because, it's a loss of confidence, and then they're sort of pretty much obliged to do that. Now, again, of course, if Obama were there in charge there, I don't think he'd be doing that, but we'll see. And let's see what else came out of the Pete Sessions report. Do we have time for that? Yeah, we have a little bit more time. Right, so the report said the administration, what was it? Oh, yes. It focused the report on took as an example two local news reports, one from Arizona and one from Texas, simply releasing illegal immigrant workers because they did not have known outstanding warrants or criminal convictions, and therefore were considered lower priority. Well, how about crossing the border illegally? But okay. The administration's priorities have therefore provided an executive amnesty, not only to the great majority of the 12 million people living here illegally, but to those who will violate immigration law tomorrow. That's the other thing. They know they can just come across more and more and more because it's an open invitation. Nothing's going to happen. My son is coming up for his renewal of his green card, and he said, I don't know if I'm going to have a problem. I said, well, if you do, you just say, I only speak Spanish, and just let me stay. So it's really absolutely disgusting. Pete Sessions did mention the free pass also applies to illegal immigrants, even if they have a criminal record, as long as that record does not meet the level of agency priority. So murders, rapes, drunk driving don't meet the level of agency priority because there's a lot of people who have been caught, convicted of that, who get to stay as well. In other words, it's de facto amnesty, folks, and this is just absolutely untenable and absolutely just shouldn't be happening. Okay, let's see. We've got a little bit of time, so let's have a little bit of fun here. I will first of all play the new topic sound, but I think, and I've got a couple of topics for which this would be quite suitable, but no, we'll wait. Let's go on and talk about this first. Harry Reid is going off the deep end. I don't know whether he's going senile or whether he's just absolutely out of control, off his meds or whatever. But first of all, we saw a while back that he was accusing Romney of tax evasion without any proof. Now he's accusing the billionaire Koch brothers of violating the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. I don't know why. I know why he's doing it, but I don't know why he can get away with it. And we know that the left hates the Koch brothers, even though they don't give as much as many other left-wing groups. And talked about that last week on the show and in some earlier shows as well. But, of course, the Koch brothers do fund groups like American for Prosperity, which is a very good fiscal conservative group, which is the right way for Republicans to be going. And Reid says he will continue to slam the Kochs publicly as long as they continue to fund attack ads against Democrats. Oh, so if they stop, that's okay. The unions can fund all the ones against the Republicans, and they get away with that. I mean, it's just so hypocritical. But on top of that, you may remember Harry Reid talked about 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago, was saying about all these stories coming out about ObamaCurse and the high premiums that people were having to pay and the people that were losing their insurance. And he came up and he stood on the floor of the House where he cannot be sued for slander or libel, and basically said what the stories that Republicans are telling are lies. He used the word lies. It's on videotape. Just this week, he was caught saying, I never said anything about lies. The guy is going gaga. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's definitely going gaga, and he needs to lose his Senate majority seat. It's time, folks. When November comes round, remember that. Vote them out. We really have to do that. Okay, folks, we're coming up to the last commercial break, so stick with me. Last break, and we'll go into the last segment of the show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. That's 800-704-1662.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-259-1409. 1-800-259-1409. 1-800-259-1409. That's 1-800-259-1409.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And this is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately. We're into the last segment of the show. Thanks for listening. Like I said, I didn't send out very many or any reminders this week due to the move, so I don't think there are very many people listening live, but hopefully you will be joining me through one of the rebroadcast or recording channels that I mentioned in the show. And I do want to remind folks as well in the Phoenix area, KTFL does broadcast the Red State Talk Radio feed, and that means Patrick Come Lately comes out on once or twice a week there as well. So final topic right now, I think probably for the evening. And this one is from a very good commentator, J.D. Longstreet. Look him up on the internet, J.D. Longstreet. He's got lots of very good posts, and one of the more recent ones was entitled "Obama's America is a Three-Ring Circus, so send in the clowns." And that is so true. Yes, America is a three-ring circus, and they've got plenty of clowns to send in. Now, Longstreet starts off by saying, back in the heyday of the circus, when something untoward took place in one of the rings or within view of the audience, something that was best unseen by the paying public, the ringmaster would shout, "Send in the clowns." The antics of the clowns served as a way to direct the attention of the audience away from the bad scene until whatever the problem was cleared up. An astute observer, however, would know that something outside of the program was happening, and therefore would know that it was, something was wrong. Longstreet says he thought about this when he read of Mr. Putin referring to Obama and Kerry as pranksters. Pranksters, really just another word for a joker or a clown. So, folks, the rest of the world definitely knows it. Dear leader is a joke. Our dear leader, not the dear leader in North Korea, but our dear leader. Israel's defense minister, Moshe Alon, also talking about John Kerry, said at some stage the United States entered into negotiations with Iran, and unhappily when it comes to negotiating at a Persian bazaar, the Iranians were better. So he knows that the US is pretty useless as well. Look at the Ukraine, right? The United States is demonstrating weakness, and I don't think Russia has invaded yet, but obviously they've still got lots of forces massing on the border. Is that just a show of force to kind of cow the Ukrainians into being a little more amenable to what Putin says, or is he really going to go in? And what does the US do about it? Not very much. It turns out some of the people that they wanted to block coming to the US actually were taken to court, and they can't be blocked because they're coming in on diplomatic passports, and therefore basically the other country puts them in on a diplomatic passport. They have to let them in. So even the 9 or 10 people that were being blocked, at least 1 or 2 of them are going to be coming in. In other words, undermining dear leaders' things again. So Longstreet says, I get a vivid picture in my mind of the ringmaster, Mr. Obama, bathed in the glare of a spotlight in the center ring, wearing his silk-top hat, red swallow-tailed coat, jodhpur breeches, and shiny black patent leather knee boots, holding a coiled bullwhip and shouting to some of the lesser lights around him, send in the clowns. And another report said that actually there's a shortage of clowns in America right now. And J.D. Longstreet says, you know what you should do? Just go to Washington, because there's plenty of clowns there. And yes, I'm just having a look at the report here. Longstreet actually does some good things in this, some positive things, I think, in this article. And he talks about how we have to basically turn around what Obama has done to us all, and basically by saying that we need to go back to what the Founding Fathers said, and just be aware that they were talking about this income redistribution. They knew it was going to happen. Democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who would not. So remember that. They knew about that. They knew that this could be happening, and they wanted to warn us about it. Okay, folks, we're reaching the end of the show. It's almost time to start the music. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. It's fun to be doing it from the new studio, even if the studio is not actually ready. And but it is time to go. The music is starting. Thanks a lot. TTFN, join me next week again, please. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.